So the next example is 19.2, talking about writing style. There was an article about handwriting that appeared in a 2006 issue of the Washington Post. The article mentioned that among students who took the essay portion of the SAT in 2005-2006, those who wrote in cursive scored significantly higher on the essay on average than students who used printed block letters. Now, in this case, let's take a moment, pause, and see if you can answer A through C. Take a moment, and then we'll walk through it. Okay, so whose behavior are we studying? Well, I would say each SAT taker, each student taking the SAT, something like that, because we're looking at what they did. Now, what's the outcome of interest? Well, their score. So that's the response variable, the score on the essay, and it's quantitative in nature. What we're trying to figure out if it explains is whether their writing style, whether it was block or cursive, explained their score on the essay. Now, would you conclude from this study that using cursive causes students to score better on an essay? Well, let's think about it. My first thought is no, it doesn't cause someone, two different writing styles. I'm not thinking, I wouldn't conclude based on this study that that your writing style determines your score on the SAT for that writing portion. Correlation does not imply causation. Just because something is linked doesn't mean one thing causes the other. So what could be happening? Let's think about it. We've got cursive writing, and those people who did it, oops, apparently it's going to help me. Those who wrote cursive scored high. Those who wrote in block letters scored low. So here are our explanatory variables, and here are our response variables. But could there be something else going on that would explain this? Well, maybe it depends on the school you went to. Maybe better schools focus on cursive writing versus on block writing. Maybe those where cursive is used, they had better exam prep. These types of variables that affect what's going on, but that we can't tell the difference between them and the explanatory variables are called confounding variables. A confounding variable is a variable whose potential effects on the response variable are indistinguishable from those of the explanatory variable. So we can't tell what's going on. Is it the cursive or is it the school that had them score high? Observational studies where the researcher passively observes and records information on observation units without imposing the explanatory variable are always at risk. And you notice I've got that word always. We usually don't use that word, but they're always at risk for confounding variables. Consequently, while an observational study may establish an association between the explanatory and response variable, you can't draw cause and effect. How do we know that this is an observational study? Well, did the researchers tell the students which way to write? And the answer is no, they just observed essays and the scores. So the researchers did not determine who wrote in what style. This is not an experiment. The SAT takers chose which method to use to write. On the next page, there is an example. Please take a moment and complete that, and I will post the solution in Canvas.